start with, to start with the project-based learning, let's just give you a stage for you, or let's just ask you a question about you to check your understanding about the project-based learning. What is project-based learning for you? Would you please just give us your responses? And those who cannot just participate here, you can write your responses on the chat box, and please give us your response. What do you know about project-based learning? What is project learning for you? Participants, you can raise your hands and give us your response about project-based learning, or you can write your responses on the chat box. Very good. Yeah, it's learning by doing. Yes, that is interesting. Also, Tagenye also said that project-based learning means learning lesson in practice. Yes, very good. Interesting. Project-based learning is learning which is based on completing project. Yes, there is a project that's going to be completed. Very good, Sinhawi. Helping our students to become change makers. Yes, to make positive impacts. Yes, very good. Very good, Habi. Anyone who wants to say something on what a project-based learning is? Yeah, you are encouraged to participate. Anyone? I haven't seen any one of your hands. You can raise your hand, say something. Okay. Also, may I give you a chance for you, maybe? Would you speak it a bit louder in order to be audible for our attendees in online? Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I think project-based learning, it's a kind of teaching method that a student should really conduct a kind of research or should investigate about a certain issue. And it's a kind of activity that can be done individually or it can be done in group. In a school where I'm teaching, usually I give them project at the end of the lesson. For instance, if it is about literature, it could be about drama or play. When there is a time or when there is a gap, during that break time, they will take 2 weeks time. They make preparation about it. They will write their own play. Then when the semester begins, they will present on it. So it's a kind of methodology that really helps the student
that they have. So it's one of the nicest teaching methodologies that can be applied.
Very good. Thank you so much, Tasso. Yeah, very good, as you have already said. And some participants has already mentioned their topics. I have seen someone whose name is Kafialo Haile raised his hand. Please, Kafialo Haile, unmute yourself and say something about project-based learning, please.
Thank you very much. Project learning. Yeah, thank you very much, Miss Tsigereda. When I mean project-based learning, it means active kind of learning. The student is deeply attended, and the active engagement of teachers and the students in active way, which included 21st century skills, which makes the teaching process contemporary. That's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kafialo Haile. And I have seen some texts that making lesson highly interactive. It is a problem-based learning, yes. Helping our students to become change makers, yes. It involves students working together to solve real world problems, yes. It is a problem-based learning, of course, making a lesson highly interactive. Very interesting. All this can address or refers what a project-based learning. So thank you for your participation. And Kafelo, do you want to add more or the previous hand?
The hand is the previous one. I'm sorry. The previous one.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Very good. Okay. Thank you for your comments. You have said a lot of things about project-based learning, and my partner is back. So let me give the stage for my partner. Dr. Yohannes, over to you, please. You can continue.
Okay, thank you, Tsigereda. And I apologize for the interruption. One point I'd like to add is project-based learning focuses on real-world problems and questions. This is, I think, a very important point. Yes, it's active. Yes, it engages students, but at the same time, it has to deal with real-world problems and questions. This is one point we would like to say. So there is an active exploration, and there is collaboration, and there is practical application of concepts. So we can proceed to the second question, which is, what are the key elements of project-based learning? The key elements, one is it has to start from...
Yeah, Dr. Yohannes, I'm sorry for the
Yes.
interruption. Shall we
No
give a
problem.
chance for participants in order to say something on the key elements of project-based learning before you just mention them, please?
Great. Okay, please do. So,
Thank you so much.
would you like to say something about the key elements of project-based learning? Key elements.
Yeah, you can give them one example in order to just motivate them to answer.
Okay,
Careful
so
plan.
one of the
Yes.
key elements is driving questions or lanes. So you start your project-based learning by coming up with a question or a challenge, a meaningful problem or question to solve. So this question has to be relevant to the students' lives, interests, and current real-world issues. Examples could be environmental conservation, cultural diversity, or post-war socioeconomic crisis. So this is one element of project-based learning. And the questions have to be open-ended, because you have to give a chance to the students to explore, to come up with some creative or innovative ideas, rather than trying to impose a single answer on the question on the students. So again, last points on this first element, which is driving question or challenges, it has to promote critical thinking by requiring students to investigate research and synthesize information. Can somebody now participate? Because we have more elements. Okay, so I see one hand. Habi Kome, please, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm joining
Hello.
from Mauritania. My name is Habikume. I'm an English teacher, and I'm very excited to join you today. I want to add something. As I wrote on the chat, project-based learning is engage your student to become change maker, problem solver, decision taker, etc. And for example, we can help our student to have critical thinking, to think out of the box, and to do something in order to solve some problem around them. For example, some environmental problem, planting trees, raising awareness about climate change, everything that related to the environment and to their community. Thank you.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Dr. John.
Okay, do we have more hands? I don't see any hand. Okay, let's go for the second. Okay, I think Tasso has raised his hand. Tasso, please take the stage.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much. To add some points on the point that you have mentioned,
mentioned.
the project-based activity that's given for our students should be authentic.
In
In addition
addition,
to that,
it
it
should
should
be
be
a
a
problem
problem-solving
solving kind
kind
of
of
activity.
activity.
For
For
instance,
instance,
we
we
live
live
in
in
a
a
country
continent
where we have a
we
lots
have
of
a lots of
problems.
problems.
So the kind of
So the
project
kind
that
of
we are
project that
giving
we
for
are
our
giving
students
for our students
should create
should
solution
create
for the
solution
kind of
for the
problem
kind of problem
that we are
that
facing.
we
It
are
could be
facing.
climate,
It could be
it could be
climate,
about
it could be about
it could be about
it could be about
poverty,
poverty,
any kind of
any
problem that
kind
is
of problem
happening.
that is
If we
happening.
give them
If we
the
give
project
them
that we
the
are
project that we
providing,
are
the
providing
project
with
that we are giving for our students should really be
the
authenticity. It should
authenticity,
be
it
authentic
should
in
be
action
authentic.
that
It
should
should
give solution
give
for the
solution
problem that
for
we are
the
facing in
problem
the
that we are
society.
facing in the
Over to you.
society. Over to you.
Okay, Dr. John, again, you should unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Tasso. We'll proceed to the second element, which is inquiry and research. Another element, another element of project-based learning is that students have to make kind of mini research. Students investigate to find solutions and answers because they have already identified a real world problem or challenge. Now they go to investigate and find solutions and answers to these questions or problems they have identified so far. The third one is students' voice and choice. Project-based learning gives students autonomy in decision making. It has to be the students who choose the methodology or what to investigate, the solutions that they come up with. It doesn't have to be imposed by the teacher. Another very important element is collaboration. As you know, the 21st century is known for collaboration. I mean, previous to 21st century, we had this idea of competition. No, students have to compete with one another to excel. But something new about the 21st century is that it is only in collaboration that we can come up with something interesting, with something very important. Like we have the word synergy, you know, instead of competing individually, if you collaborate, the sum would be greater than you would do it individually. So collaboration is another very important element. The fifth one is reflection. Continuous reflection on learning and the process involvement. So one, you're inviting your students to reflect, and the other is learning is always a process. It's not something you finish. So they may come up with some solutions, but when they reflect, they might also unlearn and relearn different things. So the learning process keeps on going. uh, the sixth element is feedback and revision. There has to be an iterative refinement. So the solutions, the questions have to be refined. Some steps are involved in this iterative refinement. One is draft or prototype creation. The second one is peer or teacher feedback. The third one is revision based on feedback, because it's not something that is done and finished once and for all. It keeps on going. There is the element of process there. So there is the revision based on the feedbacks. And finally, you present the work. The seventh element of project-based learning is public products. Students present their findings or solutions to an audience. So these are very important elements of project-based learning. If you have some questions here or something you'd like to add before we go to the third third objective of this presentation, which is what are the benefits of project-based learning, I'd like to give the chance to the audience.
Okay, what benefits of this project-based learning do you know? You can write your responses on the chat box, or you can raise your hands and give your comments on the advantage and benefits of project-based learning. Okay.
Benefits of project-based learning.
Yeah, I have seen a hand of Habi. Habi, would you
Okay.
please unmute yourself and say?
I just want to add something. Project-based learning helps them to develop the core skills. Collaboration is important, cooperation, critical thinking, and communication. They will help them to communicate between them, to help each other, and this is a great thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Habi. And let me read some comments on the making learning practical, for getting to the attachment of the material, or and make the learning practical or real. Yes, yes, that are some of the benefits of this project-based learning. Okay, anyone else? Okay, it is a careful planning of a project to be. Okay. Yeah, project-based learning helps students. Oh, develop communication. It makes the class free and democratic. Yes, obviously, these are all the benefits. What else? What benefits about project-based learning? It is practical learning, yes. It fosters critical thinking, problem solving, enhanced communication skill, collaboration. Very interesting. Very interesting. It helps students to become good leaders in the future. Yes. Yes. Again, I have seen hands of Assault. Assault, could you say something on the benefits of project-based learning?
Thank you very much. Actually, in the school where I'm teaching, it's an international school that I'm working, and the curriculum that I'm using really encourage students or teachers
to use
to use the project-based kind of methodology. So I personally use it at the end of every semester.
So
So
I mean,
I mean,
many of
many
the
of the points have been mentioned by
by
by the attendees.
just to
Just
answer
to add some point,
the
in the
century
century
that
that we are in,
in the
in the
century that
century that we are in, all right,
people
people
do have
do have a
difficulty
difficulty in expressing themselves.
like one
Like
of
one of the
the
skill that we lack is public speaking skill.
so
So
whenever
whenever they do that project
they
and they come to
the
to the
class
class
they
and
present
present it to their classmates,
so it
so it
really
really
their
boosts their
confidence
confidence,
their
their
public
public speaking skill,
creativity
creativity,
because
because critical thinking, because
whenever
whenever
they
they
are
are given these kinds of activity,
they
they
have
have to take time and
and
they should really research on it. So there are many benefits actually. Time may not be enough to mention all of the benefit that project-based method has. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Tasso. Yes. Yeah, these are also some of the benefits of this project-based learning. And to start with the benefits, the first one is engagement. Here, this project-based learning allows students to engage or involve in the actual teaching learning process, and they just involve in the learning process. Real-world problem makes learning very relevant and exciting. Why do you think that it becomes very relevant? Because as Dr. Yohannes mentioned earlier, when we try to just select problems, it should be very relevant and to the students' real life situation. So that if it is already connected to their real life situation, it is going to be very relevant to the students, as well as if they are working on the problem that they are in, it's going to be exciting for them. So all the students who are involving in the project-based learning engaged in the activity. So this is the real benefits of the first benefits of project-based learning. The second one is critical thinking. This project-based learning enhances the students' analytical and problem-solving skills. This is to mean that it moves the students from uh, lower order thinkings to the higher order thinkings. What are the lower order thinkings? Like information gathering, summarizing, and kind of fact recalls. These are lower order thinking. So this project-based learning leads them or enhances them to just move to the higher order learning, the higher order thinkings. Like what? Like analyzing, evaluating, and creating solution or innovative production products. So they are going to be innovative. So this is the second benefit. The third one is it fosters collaboration. This is the basic kinds of benefit for this project-based learning. How it's going to be collaborative, because first we are going to build a teamwork plus communication. When they're working in collaboration, they just have a positive atmosphere in teamwork, plus they just communicate each other, so it fosters communication, it builds teamwork. So the third is a collaboration. The first one is reflection. As you know, this project-based learning is a long-term kind of project, so it needs a lot of or extended time. The students should always to remember contents better. Retention, it has a retention rate, high retention rate. So while they are involving in their work, and as it is a hands-on experience, they try to just remember or they remind the points in a better way. So this project-based learning has a high retention rate. The fifth is creativity. So students take their own responsibility. They take their learning responsibility, so that they involve in problem solving activity, so that they use their own creativity. So it encourages innovations, and also it has an original thinking. So the creativity is another benefit. The other is autonomy. Yes, you are not you as a teacher are not going to involve in the students' work. You just work as a facilitator, as a mentor. So the students themselves have developed their self-management and responsibility for their own learning. Project-based learning gives students their ownership. Ownership of what? Their own learning, by allowing them to make a decision. Every decision is made by the students themselves. This is going to be another interesting thing about the project-based learning. What are they going to decide? What to investigate? For example, the first step that you need to do is to just select different problems or questions that is going to be related to the student's life, we said in advance. So they are going to choose the problem themselves. We're not going to give the problem as a teacher. If you are not the one who is going to choose the problem and give the students, it's up to the students to choose the problem themselves, and they are going to decide what to focus on and what aspects of problem that they are going to focus on. Again, they are going to decide on how to work. The students, again, they are going to decide the roles within the group. As you know, project-based learning is going to be done in groups, in team, in collaboration, so that what are they going to do, or what kind of role that they are going to play on the collaborative work, and in order to search for a solution for a given problem. So how to work is made, a decision made about how to work is going to be made by the students themselves. And the method of exploration of that solution, the method of exploration of the answer for the given problem and question should be decided by the students themselves. And the other thing that they are going to decide themselves is what to create. Here, they might develop a project in formats like they prefer to just make their project in the way of a video form, in the presentation way, sorry. It might be in an essay form, it might be in a report form, it might be in a theatrical way, it might be an art piece. So the way how they are going to create the project and develop the project, the format is depend on their preferences. So the students have their own autonomy. So they are autonomous in working this projects or in searching for solution. The seventh the benefit or advantage of project-based learning is cross-disciplinary learning. This, to say this, it's not going to just address only the English language. They are going to address the societal problem. They are going to just address different issues regarding their own subject, like it can be in English, or it can also try to integrate different areas or different language areas. Like this helps them to enrich understanding and application of their knowledge. For example, regarding history, analyzing a novel, first they are going to analyze a certain novel and the context of its historical background. They may also integrate it with the art. For example, they might have read a sort of story, then they are going to just design a book cover, or they may just illustrate it in a scene for a literature. This is related with art. Even in the science also, they can also integrate it with the science, exploring scientific metaphors. The theme in literature can be integrated with this project, like for example climate change in dystopia and utopia. These are the two utopian and dystopian are the two extremes, so they can just display in a way that they choose, and they can relate this into science. Even in mathematics, they can analyze statistical data on literature or book publishing trends. This is another way of advantage of this project-based learning. And cross-disciplinary learning, it tries to integrate into different kinds of subjects as well as disciplines. So this is another. The next, let me give you a question and let me leave the stage for Dr. Yohannes. How is learning, project-based learning is different from a traditional learning? Yeah, I want you to just comment, as we have already given you a brief overview about project-based learning. So regarding this benefits and the way how we are going to deliver, the way how we are going to prepare project-based learning, what makes it different from the traditional ones? Would you please suggest something on this, please? Yeah, you can raise your hands, and you can also just write or put your comments on the chat box. Okay, Tasso again. Thank you, Tasso, for your active participation.
Thank you very much. Actually, there are many points which have been stated by two of the presenters. Obviously, when you compare with the traditional way of teaching, one thing, the traditional way of teaching, it always assess or write the lower level thinking. So it's not really appreciated. Traditional way of teaching doesn't really help students to go further. So project one, as you have said, there are many benefits. So in many ways, it's better than the traditional one, because the traditional one, it's a kind of methodology which not really recommended in the century that we are in. So for many reasons, that one is the project one is more better than, not more better actually, better than the traditional one in many ways. That's what I have. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Tasso. Sinhao if Itafa said that traditional is teacher-based and controlled, whether rather the project-based learning is student-centered. Yes, yes, thank you. And Nabil also said, I like advocacy through art projects. It makes learning more meaningful, the project-based learning, yes. In project-based learning, Nuru said in project-based learning, students are active participants while the traditional students are passive. Very interesting, yes. And I have seen La Alam raise his hands. La Alam, could you say something on this, please?
Thank you very much. I think the difference between, I think you've said it all, the presenters, you've said it wonderfully, but the traditional way of teaching is, of course, the teacher is, he has all the power, all the knowledge, and students are considered empty cups and they go there to be filled. And the teacher is only the source of the knowledge, everything. And what the teacher says, it's about you're right and you're wrong. And it's very limited. And it's, at the end of the day, students will have a fixed mindset where they are crippled even not to use their own imagination. So I think on the other hand, project-based learning gives the autonomy to the students to use their imagination and to dive into themselves and then explore more and learn more. And when the teacher also helps, the learning also gets accelerated and they become very successful in their lives. At the end of the day, they will acquire life skills, that they need for their future endeavors. So that's the whole thing. The traditional way kills. I think the project-based kind of heals. That's my view on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lalam. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I think Retta raised his hand. Retta, can you say something about what makes project-based learning different from traditional learning?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Retta, please. Unmute yourself and you
Okay,
can continue.
thank you for that. As it has been said, project-based learning, a traditional way of learning, is completely different. So in this current time, the project-based learning is more available because in traditional way, even if the active students may not have time to interact themselves with the teacher, because the teacher would be the one who moderate or who control each and everything in that particular classroom. But when it comes to in this project-based learning, one thing is it is so interactive. It gives pleasure for the students, and it gives chance for the students to interact themselves to the teacher, and then have many more access to exhibit or act, just express themselves in a way that they have to explain themselves. So that the present way based learning is much more better than the traditional.
Okay, thank you, Retta. Thank you, Retta. Anyone else maybe who wants to say on the differences between traditional teaching or learning and the project-based learning? Okay. Yeah, thank you for your participation. Dr. Yohannes, it's over to you. You can continue the differences between traditional learning and project-based learning. Yeah, unmute yourself and you can continue.
Thank you, Tsigereda. Kefalo has also said something here. He said project-based learning is kind of learning both students and teachers. They both learn. That's very interesting because it's not the knowledge is not generated by the teacher only. The students are part of generating knowledge. So in that sense, they both learn. This is a very interesting point. In traditional one, there is nothing to be actively done by students except passively receiving. We have already said this, a very interesting point. And Alam has said project-based learning values students. It values students. This is very interesting. He has also said they're not tabula rasa, or they don't come empty minded to the class. They have their own experiences, they have their own interests, they have their own potentials. So it values these elements in the students. While traditional limit students and the source of knowledge is only the teacher. This is very interesting. So in the generation of knowledge, students become part of the generation of knowledge. They have a very active role in the generation of knowledge. So the difference you can see in the table, one is they have a difference in focus. So while the traditional learning focuses on teacher-led content delivery, so there is a pre-made content which the teacher will deliver to the students. While in the project-based learning, it's student-led and it's inquiry-based. So there is not a ready-made knowledge that the teacher will deliver, because it will be determined by the kind of questions raised, by the kind of researches they do. So it's always new. Always there is a curiosity element there all the time. The other difference is in their activities. In the traditional learning, it's only lectures, and the students are encouraged to do some rote learning, rote memorization. While in project-based learning, the students work in collaboration. There is collaboration, and they are dealing with real-world projects. The problem here is the assessments. There is a difference in assessments, and we'll see later on the limitations of project-based learning, because it doesn't follow the traditional way of assessing students or evaluating students. In the traditional learning, we assess our students by providing or by giving tests and quizzes. While in the project-based learning, there are no tests and quizzes. There are instead presentations from which the students will be evaluated, or the students might be required to prepare portfolios and projects. So this is one difference. And there is a difference in engagement. We have already raised this. In traditional, the students are passive. In the project-based learning, students are active. And finally, the skills. In the skills, in the traditional learning, there is memorization. That's what they're encouraged to do so. While in the project-based learning, Tsigereda had mentioned the higher order skills. So we're dealing with higher order skills here, like the critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. So these are some of the differences between the traditional learning and project-based learning. So we can go to the fifth objective of this presentation, or fifth question. And this is, what are the limitations or shortcomings of project-based learning? Should I proceed, or I think first we have to ask if our participants have some questions or something to add, or we want you to reflect on this question. What are the limitations or shortcomings of project-based learning?
Excuse me, Tsigereda. We can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, as we have already mentioned earlier, we have already mentioned different benefits and advantages of project-based learning. I think most of you were appreciating this kind of learning, but anything has its own drawbacks, right? So what do you think is the drawbacks and the disadvantage of this project-based learning, do you think? Yeah, you can just, as usual, you can mention your comments on the chat box, or you can just raise your hands and you can comment. Okay, as I said, my fear is, okay, sorry. My fear in up. Of the disadvantage, the disadvantage or the limitation. Yeah. Anyone hear me? Am I with you maybe?
We can hear you, Tsigereda.
Thank you, thank you.
Some people are reflecting, so you can see their reflections.
Okay. Can you manage the reflections maybe in the chat box?
Okay, okay. So in the chat box, we have some reflections from Sinhawe Etefa. He says project-based learning needs a lot of preparation, which is a very legitimate concern. This is one of the limitations of project-based learning. And previously, Taso Gamachu has said, my fear in applying project-based learning is students may give the task to someone else. But here, I think it's no problem if students ask for some guidance on some research when they're conducting research, some help from the community or from students or from concerned bodies. We have to make sure that they do the project in the classroom, okay? Not only in the classroom, they will have out of the classroom activities and research doing and things like that, but they have to do the actual learning process also in the classroom. And they have to be evaluated in the classroom finally when they do the projects. So I think we can manage this a little bit, but Tasso, you might still reflect on your concerns. Another is by Nuru Said. He said, inadequate resource. And this is a very good observation. One problem with project-based learning is it requires a lot of resources. And so there could be this inadequacy of resources. Difficult for large classrooms by Nguye Fraha. I think he's from Djibouti. And this is right. Yeah, it's difficult for large classrooms. Habi is saying it takes much time consuming, interesting. Reta Yohannes, time and assessment difficulties. Yes, assessment we have mentioned previously as well, and it's time consuming. Safaba, lack of resources. Habi again, not enough resources. Ashan Nafis, a guide to everywhere. Okay, to everywhere. He's saying project-based learning limitation is time constraints, definitely. Time constraints and subjectivity in the assessments. Yes. Assessment also tends to be a little bit subjective because we're not dealing with the answers are not A or B, black or white, you know. It depends on the situation, context is whatever. So there sure will be some level of subjectivity there. It's very difficult to attain 100% project objectivity. Alam is saying, in project-based learning, we might not be able to know and assess what the students have learned and have not. Also, it's not good for lazy students. Yeah, for lazy students, yes. It's open for abuse. Okay, you might clarify on these 2 points, Alam. The first one is we may not be able to know what they have learned and what they have learned. But the feeling I have is, in fact, because they are doing research, they're asking questions, they're coming up with possible answers, we'll be able to understand what they're learning and what is lacking. So would you please clarify on that concern, Lala? And also the project-based activity may be monopolized. All students may not take part in it, yes. Group dynamics is one difficulty there. One active student there might be, some other students may not be very active. There could be ways of managing some of these difficulties. Reta, time assessment difficulty, lack of resource, yes. Ayana, she made it to everyone. Maybe our contexts hugely affect, yeah, we come up with different contexts. Time could be an issue. The motivation of the teacher might be a bottleneck as well. Yes, the motivation of the teacher, not only the motivation, but his preparation as well. He has to prepare a lot in advance. So I think Tsigereda, would you like to proceed, or would you like to display the slide so that I may continue?
Yeah, can't you see?
So you would be dealing with the last section, with the 6th question. I'll be dealing with this one.
Okay, fine.
So one of the limitations, like you have mentioned, is resource dependent. It needs a lot of access to materials, tools, and technologies. So this is one limitation of project-based learning. So what are the resources? The resources are, we have physical resources like art supplies, books, project kits or tools, digital resources. Some of the projects might require laptops, tablets, access to the internet, software for research and creation like Canvas for design, Microsoft Teams for collaboration, and platforms like blogs, social media, or online forums for sharing their results. Because students are dealing with real life problems, at the end of the day, we want the students to share their findings with the public, with the community. So in that regard, they might come up with some difficulty of sharing their ideas or if they don't have resources, internet resources. And the other one is human resources. Human resources will need human resources. For instance, if somebody is dealing with global environmental catastrophe or the environmental crisis, he will have to invite a guest to give them some highlights when they do researches on the nature of the environmental problems or some solutions for environmental problems. So finding guest speakers may not always be easy. So it is a challenge. Another mentors, community members who can provide expertise or real world contexts. So we have human resource problems. The second problem is we have already said, okay, time consuming because it needs planning and collaboration require ample time for depth and learning. The second challenge is assessment challenge. We have already raised this. Difficulty to evaluate learning consistently because some degree of subjectivity is involved. The third one is teacher training. Project-based learning demands skilled educators for effective implementation. So this is another challenge. Fourth one, group dynamics. We have already mentioned this as well. I think Asfaw raised it previously. There is an uneven participation, or there could be conflicts in the team setting. So this is another challenge. The fifth one is curriculum constraints. It means the issue they want to explore, the questions they want to answer, the researches they want to conduct may not align with the curriculum or the standardized contents and testing requirements of the curriculum. So this is again another challenge. So these are some of the challenges, but still, once we have identified the challenge, there are some things we can do to minimize this challenge, to mitigate this challenge. So this is the last question we're dealing with in this webinar, and this will be dealt with by Tsigereda. Tsigereda, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yohannes. Yeah, before I'm going to deal with how can we apply project-based learning in the classroom. Let me give you a chance. You may have an experience of applying this project-based learning. Would you please share us? Plus, how do you think that we can apply in our real life context in our classroom? Yeah, as usual, just suggest your answer on the chat box, as well as you can raise your hands and comments. Give your comments. How can we apply it? Yeah, I have seen many comments in the poster. This is my favorite kind of learning and kind of things. Hopefully you have already tried in your classroom. So would you please share us your experiences about how to apply this project-based learning? Anyone, any way to apply this? Especially in our real life context. Yeah, the Alam suggested that in project-based learning, we might not, what's wrong with it? No. Yeah, teachers need to be creative to apply project-based learning. Garamo said yes. We have to be very creative in order to apply in the classroom. Yeah, by planning and organizing, yes. By planning and organizing. To start with compelling, is that? Yeah, compelling open-ended questions, yes, that speaks curiously and drives the project. This question should connect to the real world issues. Yeah, that's very interesting, Greta. Yeah, it should be related to the real world issues and it should be an open-ended and use hands-on learning. Yes, it should be participatory, hands-on, which makes the students involved in the activities. Comment to remodify the syllabi. Is that really possible for teachers to amend the syllabus, maybe? Uh, Well-trained teacher curriculum, material or resources available, learner motivation, creativity for both teachers and learners. Yes. Mhm. I think this topic is very much, yes. When teachers employ this teaching strategy, they should go with the textbook. However, the textbook itself may not be suitable for each student in the classroom. The teacher therefore needs to simplify the tasks for the textbook to be shared and engage with the students' learning ability and skills, yes. And adapting is the best way, of course, yes. This is another way. Give students opportunity to make decision about their project, fostering ownership and engagement, yes. It needs to be small class size, no. Do you think that it should be a small class size? You can manage it because it is a collaborative work, so they can work collaboratively, so they can work it in groups. So we can minimize the number of students by making them in groups. Encouraging peer feedback. Yeah, peer feedback is very basic because it just enhance their feedback, giving feedback skills, as well as they are going to use their knowledge and sharing. By encouraging students to actively research, analyze information, and collaboration to find solution. Yes, thank you, Ashanafi. That's correct. Well, project-based learning can be applied with carefully planning. Careful planning, for example, you might ask students to write about how to prepare Ethiopian coffee, and then you may ask students first, then listen materials that are needed, and then we can ask them to write a paragraph on essay. Yes, why not? This is practically related to their own real world life situation, so that can also be possible. Yeah, I like the idea of project-based learning. Applies to small and large classes. Collaborative accomplishment of tasks is vital. Yes. How many students per group for productive collaborative works? Yeah, it depends. It depends on the number of students that you have in a classroom. You're not going to leave the others alone, so all students should be involved in the project. So if you have got a small number of students in the classroom, you can just make in a small number of groups. If you have about large number of classroom in a number of students in the classroom, you should involve all the students depending on the number of students. It matters the way how you are teaching, the number of students that you have in the classroom. Yeah, we're going to deal to answer the questions at last, but let's just continue.
Tsigereda,
Yes,
excuse me. Can I
yes,
step in?
sure, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you all. I think the participants are doing good on the chat box. And you
Yeah,
and Dr. John, you don't have to wait until till
okay.
noon. If you're about to wrap up, we may wrap up until 11:30 on the 5:30 local time. So yeah,
Okay,
we can do that, and we don't have to wait until noon. If we have to finalize, we have to finalize. So yeah, what
sure.
do you think, guys?
Yeah,
Nabil?
we are. Yeah, we are almost done. So this is the last point that we have, and we can continue with our points, and we'll give the chance for others. Okay, thank you, Lam.
Yeah.
Okay. To start with how to apply project-based learning in our classroom is the very first thing that we should do is identify challenges. That means choose a meaningful or curriculum relevant problems or questions. When we try to select different or variety of problems, it should directly relate it to the student's real life situation. So they need to experience those problems in their real life. So while the teacher identifying those challenges, it should be very relevant or to the student's actual real life situation or experience. And after having the problem, which is something which is relevant to the students, we have to plan the activities. How are we going to plan? First, break the projects into manageable tasks. Then we have to give a guide inquiry. How are we going to give a guide inquiry? We have to provide resources for the students. We have to facilitate exploration. So while we are doing, we have to think about who to involve in this project. We can think of involving parents, communities, any stakeholders in the project. So as a part of required human resources. And the fourth is encouraging collaboration. Yeah, this is the basic purpose of this project-based learning. So we have to encourage collaboration. We have to make the students to organize into a diverse team. When we're just simply group them in teams, the team or the group should be in a diverse kind of team. It should not be the same, so it should be diverse in order to collaborate and give their thoughts and give their expertise depending on their background. So the fifth is incorporate technology, yes, because as we are living in the 21st century, we have to incorporate different technologies, especially for project-based learning. Digital tools can be incorporated for their research work as well as their presentation. The sixth is mentor the progress. We have to just check their progress and we have to give our feedbacks and support during the process. So these are the seventh is they should present the results. Finally, after they have already completed their project work, they should present their works. Finally, the results should be a project-based learning, can be presented in various creative, meaningful ways. This is for the students' motivation. This is just to show their results of their efforts. So how the students are going to deliver or present their work. The first, it can be in a written form or in a written report form. Written documents or details the project's process, starting from the draft up to the findings of the project. And finally, they are going to give conclusion as well as recommendation. It can be through, like, for example, a research paper. It can be in the case study form. It can be in the proposal form. So this is one way of presenting their result. The other is presentation. Students should be allowed to present their results or the whole process of project-based learning to their classmates, to their teachers, to their school community, or to the whole community members. It can be through preparing a PowerPoint slide, it can be a poster presentation, it can be an interactive demonstration, it can be in theatrical way, in different way. They should present their final work. The other is multimedia projects. The other way of delivering or presenting the result is by just making videos, animation. It can be in the podcast, the audio form. It can be in a photo showcase. It can be in the project journey. The project journey should be in the photo showcase. It can be, for example, a short documentary can be made to present their work from the draft up to the end or the final findings. It can be an infographic video can also be displayed. And the other is a prototype or model. The actual model or kind of model, kind of presentation can also be delivered, their findings. It can be a physical or digital prototype. It can be in mock-ups and models that represent the solution or the product of their project-based learning. Their project. Finally, for example, it can be a 3D printing design, it can be an application of prototype, it can be handmade models, whatever they like, they can present and show their project. It can also be artistic creation. As you know that these days students are very artistic and very creative, so that they can just simply present their findings and their projects by paintings. It can be in the form of sculpture. It can also be in the performance like theater, and creative with writings inspired by project team. So it can be in a mural addressing social issues and theatrical performance. And the other thing that they should do in order to present their work is they should prepare portfolios. We have already mentioned this issue in advance. The collection of different data during the time of the project. That means starting from the draft, every research notes, every reports, every and the final product should be documented in the form of digital portfolio or physical binders. So thus that documents will tell all the journey of that project. So this is another way of presenting their work. The next is exhibition and fairs. Students are very much interested in making public display. This motivates them very well, so that a public display where participants showcase their project to broader audiences, like science fair, art exhibition kind of prepare, so they can display all their project journey through different photos and explanation about their project journey. The other is role play and simulation, presenting findings through the scenarios. They can create a scenario and reenactment of the all the project journey and show how they just go through that project. It can be mock debate, it can be business pitch, it can be role play, it can be a historical role play of the historical event of that project. The other is then the last one is reflecting and assessing. Finally, you are going to just conduct a self-assessment and peer evaluation. This is very crucial. The student, after they have already done a sort of work in their projects, they should just assess themselves their work, assess themselves. Then they just, after they have already made improvements based on their assessment, they are going to give their peers. Their peer will just assess their work and they give them a feedback. And finally, they just give it to their teachers, and the teacher evaluation will come at last. These are the stages. First, self-assessment, then peer feedback, then finally teacher evaluation will continue. Uh, Conducting this self-assessment and peer evaluation is to reflect on individuals and group progress. The other is to identify areas of improvement and provide valuable insights for the project, for the future project. So these are the way how we are going to assess the students' progress. These are the way how the students present their work and how we are going to apply in our classroom. These are the points. Thank you so much. This is all about our presentation. If you have got any suggestion, questions, as well as anything about project-based learning. Now we can accept questions.
Okay. Dear participants, you may ask questions. We would like to give maybe to two, three people, and then we might go. Nabil, kindly, after the questions, can you share the survey as well? Hello?
Okay. I have seen a question. Can
Hello?
project-based learning? Yeah. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, we are there. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you, Lalam. We can continue.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me answer one question. I have read a question. Can project-based learning can be applied in the lower classes? Yes, of course we can. But the problem, depending on the level of the students, we're not going to give projects for lower class students. So very difficult problems is not going to be provided or given to the students, but they have a lot of problems depending on their age and understanding level. So depending on the level and the level of understanding and their age, you might search, a teacher should search a problem which is directly related to their environment and to their experiences and to the level of the students. It can be applicable for at any level. Okay. Tasso, do you have any question? Maybe you raised your hands.
It's terrible.
It is to respond on the
Okay, thank
question
you.
that one of the participants asked.
Ask it. Okay, thank you.
So it can be applied in any grade level. It depends on the scope. And
Definitely, it can be applied to any level. It could be from elementary up to tertiary level. Project-based learning can be applied at any level because as far as it helps students, it can be applied at any level. But it depends on the scope and the kind of problem that we want them to solve. For instance, in a science class, you may teach them about houses. So they go home and then using different materials, right, without, all right, hurting their hand, all right, using paper, they can build their own house. They can come to the class and present it. So the point that I want to stress here is that it can be applied to any grade level. Over to you.
Thank you, Tasso. Thank you. Dr. Yohannes, do you want to say something on this maybe? Anyone who has a question?
Yes, this question was also raised previously. It can be applied to all grade levels as long as we are mindful of the difficulty of the project we assign to the grade level. You know. So as long as we are considering the grade level, they have to align. The difficulty of the project should align with the grade level of the students. As long as we do this, we can do any projects. The name projects doesn't make it sound something very, complicated, La'alam was previously mentioning what are the elements required for the traditional coffee making in Ethiopia, So these are very simple projects. So it all depends on the difficulty of the projects.
Okay, thank you. Rita, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Okay. In order to do this, it is applicable for everyone. I can every class because as long as the teacher is very active and can moderate each and everything, it can be applicable. But in doing so, I think we have to uh, make kind of a well-designed thing. We have to maintain our students' mind capacity and the topics that we are going to deliver. So if we do such kind of things, it will be applicable. I hope so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Anyone?
Sorry, it's okay. May I jump in? Already for our participants, I would like after you can really click on the link for the survey and the certificate. So some of our participants are asking for the certificate. So go to the link, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Tsigereda, I think if you don't have any more questions, we can call it a day.
I've got a question.
Yeah, Tasso has a question here.
I've got a question. Like, it's known that in a year we have only 10 Mondays. So
Yeah.
how often we should give projects, the frequency of it? Because obviously in a school where we are teaching, directors, they are highly focusing on exercise books. If exercise books are not checked, parents also will complain. Students' exercise books are not checked. So the complaint will be on us. So how often these kinds of activities should be given? Because I believe that these kinds of methodology help the students better than the kind of thing that we do, or it helps them more than the traditional way of teaching. So how often a teacher should give? For instance, let's take our English class. In a year, how often should it be given? Because if it's more, for instance, we cannot really, obviously, if we really calculate the time that we have for teaching learning, time is very less time that we have. We do have mid exam, final examination, there are quizzes, tests. So
So
often
often
should it be given?
over to
Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Tasso. To start with your question, it depends on your choice. For example, I am applying this project-based learning, but the students are working on their project, but I'm still working on the textbook too. You can just conduct both side by side. So the students are working on their project. Every class time, I ask them how the project works. Every Friday, I receive their reports, and we have a Telegram channel. They just already submit and post their works every day, so I can just control how the project-based learning going on. At the same time, in the class time, I'm just working on the textbook. So you can, it depends on the intensity of the problem. You can just manage the frequency of project-based learning. For example, my project is a huge project, so that we are going to finish it at the end of the year. They are going to solve two big problems. So this takes longer time. So first semester, my students work on their research. They find the problem. They find areas to be done. Then they have already completed in the first semester. In the second semester, they just intervene. They are going to intervene and sort doing some sort of activities to solve the given problem. Then finally, they are going to present their final work at the end of the year. So this is the intensity of my project. If your project is a kind of, it needs a short time, you can just make it, give it a short time, and you can just align both side by side. You can do the textbook, you can check their exercise book. At the same time, the students work their project at the same time. So this is my answer. And Dr. Yohannes, if you have something to say on this, please.
Well said, Tsigereda. I think so. Your students are doing 2 projects a year.
Yes.
I think this is a very fair number. I had some 4 projects a year in mind, like every quarter, like 1 project in 2 months and a half or 3 months. So 3 to 4 is, I think, manageable. This is one thing. The other thing is we also have to try to align the projects with some of the contents we have in the curriculum as well. So if we do that, that would be great as well. If we can align some of the curriculum with, because if you go to the high school English textbooks, some of them are dealing with real world problems. Like there is the issue of abortion, there is the issue of environment and things like that. So if it aligns with the curriculum, then it would be very simple to deal with. It will not be time consuming because it already is present in the curriculum. That's all I can say. Thank you, Tsigereda.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it depends on the topic that you have. For example, I have 2 projects, one for one section, the other for another section. One of the section working on how to improve children in kindergarten, English use of kindergarten at governmental school. This is a huge project, so they intervene, they just go to that KG, they observe everything, they just find out things that need to be done, and they have already done all these things. They pile different materials and kind of things. So first semester has already done. Now they are going to just prepare a book center in that KG. Then they are going to just create their own English club. And on my way, I just want to thank the ELPA president, Yosef Fallaka. He has already given a training on how to just teach this jolly phonics for those kids. Because as you have already seen, students in governmental school and students in private school, they don't perform English equally. So that in order to make or enhance the English use of government KG students, so he has already given the training for the teachers, and my students are helping to enrich the environment in a well organized manner to improve the students' English use. This is a very huge project that's why it takes a year to accomplish. This is one of my projects, so it depends on the intensity. You can just mention the time as well as the frequency of the project. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I think people are asking us to drop our materials as well as the certification. As Alam said, you can just fill the form which is already there in the chat box, and you can have your own certificate. And happily, we will just post our material in our stuff,
And,
so in
and
our platform. Yes,
yeah, we
Nabil.
don't usually, yeah, we don't usually share the PPT with our person, but we do actually share our the recording, so you can watch that in chat.
Oh,
So it's all the
okay.
video.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Nabil.
Thank you, Nabil.
I think as for the certificate, kindly fill the form by clicking on the link shared by Nabil. I have already acquired my certificate. Thank you very much for our wonderful presenters, Dr. Yohannes Asfaw, Mrs. Tsigereda, for your valuable presentation. I hope this will really help us a lot. And if there are no any questions, uh, shall we call it a day, or do you want to keep it going?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Thank
didn't
you
have
so
my
much.
breakfast so far,
Okay,
so I think we should call it a
let's
day.
call it a day, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
So
can
call
thank
it.
you
you,
share the
everyone.
form?
Yes. Yes.
The shared form, because sometimes we have the internet issues wherever we are.
Yeah. So yeah,
If you want
kindly
to share the
copy the
form, yeah.
link. Yeah, copy the
Share the
link
link.
into your note or from this one, from our chat box.
Okay. Okay.
It's already linked by one of our colleagues, Nabil.
By Nabil, yes.
Yeah, by Nabil. Go there and then get your link. Later on, you can do it, and automatically your certificate will appear, and you can download it from there.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining
our
us.
presenters. Thank you, everyone.
For your
Thank
time.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Have a nice day.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Goodbye.
Thank you.
For being
Bye bye.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the active participants.
So goodbye, everyone.